My lords, my ladies, welcome to AppleFest in St. George. AppleFest is one of the top 100 festivals in Ontario, and Gene Tucker is bringing this year's festival to your living room. In this new format, Mayor David Bailey will graciously welcome everyone to Brant County. Stay where you are and visit two of Brant County's innovative apple farms. Brantwood Farms with Tom and Dawn Pate, and Brant View Farms featuring Jay and Linda Howell. It is all about the apples. And entertainment. Local performers Gary Gray feature the local barber, and Brandon Dean will be here too. Gene has put together some amazing video scenes from previous AppleFest years for your enjoyment. Thanks for celebrating the apple at St. George AppleFest, brought to you virtually this September 19th and 20th, 2020. God save the Queen.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark LaFerriere and I am a County of Brant councillor, and I just want to welcome you to St. George AppleFest 2020. We're going digital, we're going virtual this year. We have an amazing lineup of performers, entertainers, farmers, folks related to the apple industry talking about different things related to apples. We have a wonderful opportunity to come together as a community virtually, digitally, and talk about AppleFest, to celebrate AppleFest. We can't do it in person this year. We know why, but you know what we can do? We can still celebrate. We can still come together as a community. We can learn a lot about local agriculture, and we can have a fun and entertaining time. I'm so happy to be here on behalf of the County of Brant Council, also supporting Brant.1, who's been putting this together. AppleFest is going to be an amazing time this year. I hope you're strapped in for the next couple hours as we bring you a virtual version of one of the greatest festivals in Ontario every year, and we're happy to bring it to you anyway. Despite any of the reasons why we can't do it in person, we can do it still locally together, and let's go.
Hi everybody, it's Belinda Karahalios, the Member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of Cambridge, including North Dumfries and North Brant, and today I say welcome to St. George AppleFest for 2020. This year will be remembered as the year of change, the year of differences, the year of lots of different words to describe it. I will not get into all of them because they're conflicting sometimes. And while we won't be able to celebrate AppleFest this year like we did last year, where we had such beautiful weather and all the sights and all the smells and all the sounds, all those things that contribute to a great event, we can still support our local vendors online. A lot of them have web pages that we can visit and order things. And we have the potential to actually broaden our reach for this great festival. So all of our family and friends, around the province who we've said, come on down to St. George for AppleFest, it's great, but maybe it's too far. Well, now they can kind of experience it online. A little different, but let's give them a taste. So next year, when things are back to normal, they can come on down and they can experience the real thing, because it really is a sight to behold. And I know that I had a lot of fun last year, and I'm really looking forward to getting together with you all next year to enjoy it as well. But before I go, most importantly, I want to say a big thank you to Gene Tucker and everyone who has come together, who is taking time out of their busy schedules to ensure that this event happens every year and goes off without a hitch. So a big thank you to Gene and everyone else who has come together to make this event possible, whether it's online or in person. So thank you, Gene Tucker and team, and thank you for attending St. George AppleFest 2020. I hope it's great, and I hope to see you next year. And of course, as always, if you ever need anything, please do not hesitate to call 519-650-2770. This is Belinda Karahalios. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
We're here at our digital AppleFest, St. George AppleFest, and I'm here with the festival coordinator, Jean Tucker. Now, Jean, we have had many, many different AppleFests over the years. A wonderful event every year. It's a little different this year, but can you tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of AppleFest year to year and what you hope to see in the future?
Oh, highlights, that's an easy one. One of the big things that we always get questions about is there going to be a petting zoo? People love the petting zoo. So yes, we plan on having a petting zoo next year. It'll be better than the one we had last year. More animals, hopefully. We've been working on that one to make sure we can get that. Pony rides is another big thing. And the other big thing is the entertainment. People love the entertainment. It's all day long on the main stage, and we have children's entertainment on the small stage down at the bottom of the hill. Cindy Cook is one of our major ones that have been coming for years and years. We also have the Saturday night street party, which is very popular with our local people. And we try and get some local bands for that one if we can. Frisky Business is one of the big highlights for that night too. So then we will have over 130 vendors, and that's also a big draw for people. They love the vendors.
So one of the things I actually wanted to ask you, Jean, is when we're looking at the vendor piece, what are some of the unique vendors that come to St. George AppleFest, and what does that mean? What does the festival mean for vendors broadly? 130 is quite a lot. We've seen that growth over the many years of AppleFest. What does it mean for the vendors? And again, what are some of the things people might be able to see when we're able to have AppleFest down on the main streets again?
So vendors are a big part, and the vendors that come, some of them have been coming for 15 years or more. So they've been there a lot longer than I have. So they really like the festival. Some of them are local people that produce things in their home, sewing, that kind of thing. There's also some woodworking people that come. We had one vendor that came for a couple years, and I'm not sure if they're coming back or not, but they specialized in men's beard and mustache treatments. Stuff we would use for that. I don't know what that would be, but anyway, that's one of I thought that was kind of unique. We have food vendors. We have the local Lions Club that comes with their trailer. We have the church ladies that come with the apple pies, the ever popular apple pies. So that's awesome. What else do we have? 2 or 3 different food trucks, ice cream, chocolates. We have some jewelry vendors. We have all kinds. What you name it, we got it pretty much.
Well, I actually might look like I know about the ice cream and the food vendors, but I also know about the beard oil and wax treatments as well. Those are pretty cool. I actually bought some previous years and still use them actually. Also, I just wanted to ask you. Now, this is a bit of a softball question. Okay, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what's your favorite apple?
Oh, I like the Royal Gala. That was an easy one. Royal Gala. They're good. They're good to eat out of hand, and they're also good for cooking.
Well, it's wonderful to see you. It's wonderful to hear from you. Thank you so much for all the work you and your team do on AppleFest. My last question is a simple one. If we are looking at future years and back to a more traditional AppleFest, what would you say to folks who are maybe on the fence from around different communities, on the fence about coming to AppleFest? What would be your sales pitch for the AppleFest questioners, those people who are thinking of maybe coming in the future?
It's the premier festival in Brant County. It's a top 100 festival according to Festivals and Events Ontario. Our travel agents consider us a hidden gem. So, and we have something for everyone, from 1 to 100. So come and visit us. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you so much, Jean. Beautiful community, beautiful responses, a beautiful festival. We're so excited. We're also excited. We were talking about not just the vendors, but the entertainment. We have some entertainment for you today. I'm going to be throwing right now to the wonderful folk stylings of Gary Gray. Take it away, Gary.
Ori Borealis, the the icy skies at night. The paddles cut the water in a long and hurried flight, and the white man in the field of green, in the homeland they have never seen. They killed us in our teepees, they cut our women down, or they might have left some babies laying on the ground. But the fire's still and the wagons come, and the mountain falls on the desert sun. They killed us in our teepees, they cut our women down, or they might have left some babies laying on the ground. But the fire's still and the wagons come, and the night falls on the setting sun. They massacred the buffalo, kitty corner from the bank. All the taxis running across my feet, my eyes have turned to blanks. And my little box at the top of the stairs, and my Indian rug and a pipe to share. They massacred the buffalo, kitty corner from the bank. Oh, the taxis running across my feet, my eyes have turned to blanks. And my little box at the top of the stairs, and my Indian rug and a pipe to share. I wish I was a trapper, I'd give 1,000 pelts to sleep with Pocahontas and see how she felt in the morning, in the field of green, in the homeland they've never seen. And maybe Marlon Brando will be there by the fire, and we'll sit and talk of Hollywood and things there for hire, like the Astrodome and the first TP. Marlon Brando, Pocahontas and me. I wish I was a trapper, I'd give 1,000 pelts to sleep with Pocahontas and see how she felt in the morning, in the field of green, in the homeland they've never seen. And maybe Marlon Brando will be there by the fire, and we'll sit and talk of Hollywood and things there for hire, like the Astrodome and the first TP. Marlon Brando, Pocahontas and me. Marlon Brando, Pocahontas and me. Walking down an empty street, standing in the noonday heat, dusty hair and tired feet, thinking about her. Kicking cans along the way, clicking sticks along the fence, wondering where the good times went. Well, I'm not so sure. Rodeo boy, rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. People throwing looks my way, I guess they don't know what to say since they heard the news. A small town boy, city girl, she took him right out of this world. She left him standing on the curb, and now he's got the blues. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. Now I don't ride no more, my saddle sits behind the door. My boots are scattered on the floor, and I walk around in shoes. Maybe I could catch a train, maybe she'll come back again, maybe she'll change her mind. I guess I'm just a fool. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. People throwing looks my way, I guess they don't know what to say since they heard the news. Small town boy, city girl, she took him right out of this world. She left him standing on the curb, and now he's got the blues. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town. A rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy in a one-horse town.
Hello again, everyone. I am so excited for this next segment. I am here with Linda Howell of Brantview Farms Howell Road Cider Company. And listen, I gotta say something before we start, honey. I promise. I'm saying this to my wife. I bought some cider to bring home, so I might have some on the video here. But I brought one of each. I bought one of each already. So my wife's favorite is cider. It is. It is hard and soft cider. Linda, I just want to ask you a little bit about the cider piece. We've seen a lot of cider happening in the rural communities. It's become a more popular drink, it seems to me, over the last 10 years. Can you talk a little bit about the cider business and the cider production?
Easy to do. Jay had thought about doing hard cider years ago and chose not to because, I'll be honest, our provincial government put a lot of roadblocks in place. They did a pilot project with Niagara with the wines, and that opened the route, and therefore then cider was the next one to open out, making it easier for us. So we have a license to manufacture, to sell, to serve at home and at farmers markets. So therefore when the legislation changed, the door was open, yet it was our daughter Jen who decided, didn't want to do what she went to school for. She came home and said she wanted to make copious amounts of alcohol in her backyard. And I went, oh, and she did. She's got a great palate and a great nose. We do a little bit of a few restaurants. We do a little bit of that. Most of it we sell at the farm. We do it at farmers markets. And she wants to do small batch. She wants to be true to small batch. She wants to still make it from our apples and go from there. So if you look at this one, it has 6 of our apples, 6 varieties of apples. It's what she calls the flagship. I go, why can't it just be the original? But flagship is the terminology today. It has russets, it has spies because they're high in tannin, therefore she doesn't have to add tannin. Then she decided she's going to do seasonals. Well, her seasonals have been repeat seasonals. Dean McConkey next door grows hops, so she takes our original cider and dry hops and puts the dry hops into it and does it to the flavor she gets to. This next one is the raspberry lemonade. The raspberries actually end up coming from BC, but they're Canadian, so all our products are supposed to be Ontario-based, are-based, or Canadian. The apples are all from here. The next one is, that's the strawberry honey. The strawberries this year, we got them from Brentwood Farms, from Kara and the Pates. And the honey is from up the road, Henderson's. So it's quite local. This is peach. The peach cider, the peaches, of course, came from Petticombs in, I guess they're Winona, part of Stony Creek now. And it's our apples. So all of these products were added to the original one. So the original one sits at about 6% alcohol, and the others are a little less, usually sit around 5.3, 5.6 alcohol content. It's lighter. It's a product that seems to be very, very popular, and people enjoy it. As soon as she puts out, this is her newest one, and Jen thinks it's one of her best ciders. So it just got canned this week and got labeled this week, so it's quite nice. The difference is that they are filtered, and ours is it's a drier cider than some. It doesn't have a lot of sugar content. Some of it has actually 0 residual sugar in it. This is the flagship one, and it's the base one. And it is carbonated in the process. It goes through a bright tank, and it's got a lovely color, and it is, of course, I like having it out of a little wine glass. The rest of the family will drink it out of the can or a great big glass. I might as well put a little bit of each in so you can see the different colors and the way they go. If I put it behind each, that would probably make more sense. This is the hop one, so it smells like a beer, but it's very light because it's a cider. And it is very clear too, and if you smell it, you'd see the difference. This one is gorgeous this year. The raspberries turned out lovely, and the raspberries, I know each one individually and personally. We either food process them, sometimes we steam them, sometimes we do both to try to get it. It has a lovely raspberry, this is the raspberry flavor in the beginning.
That looks great.
And then it's got the lemon at the end, so you can have a little bit. It's got a gorgeous color. She did really well, nice with this. This one is our strawberry honey. And it's funny, if you can keep it a little longer at home, the honey flavor becomes more evident the longer it's there. But you may find that you'll drink it right away and you won't have the opportunity to try. And it's a little lighter. The raspberries came out very deep. The strawberries, which are lighter in color anyway. And then, where's my last one? The peach one. This is our new one. The peach juice is really, I like it. It's very peach flavored. So it's natural fruit you're using. We aren't using any real additives. We're doing everything that is natural. And Jenny's having a great time. This one, the peach flavor didn't come out. It's a little, but not a big difference in it. So Jen does a great job with the cider, and it's interesting what she does. Last year she really wanted to try to make an apple cider donut cider because we sell a lot of apple cider donuts. And
you sell a lot of them to my house, actually.
I can imagine. There's a lot. It's funny in the fall because people come in and get a package when they're apple picking. They don't even get to the car because they've eaten the apples and they're back to get more. I have to make donuts this afternoon because Jay's going to market tomorrow. But she tried it, and it's just not a combination she likes. I think the next one she's working on right now, she's thinking of some maple syrup to try to see if maple syrup will sweeten it naturally. So she's on the go and on the go. All of these, the only new one that hasn't been done before is the peach one that is new to us this year. She'll do cranberry. She did raspberry in the spring, and it sold out like crazy. Last year she did a pear blackberry. So it's not really a cider. It would be a perry because it's pear-based, and she's going to experiment with some pears again this year.
That's wonderful. I think I speak for the entire cider-loving community in the county of Brant and beyond when we're very glad Jen didn't follow what she was doing in school and decided to do this instead. This is really excellent.
She gets mad sometimes, takes too long to do the cleanup, and it's labor-intensive. And she found out last year we ran out of cider for a period. In fact, someone phoned the other day and said, "Do you have cider?" Because last year some varieties we ran out of. So this is the most we've had at one time, which is 5 varieties. We usually have at least 2 to 3. So it's interesting that way.
Well, I'm going to change the subject just a little. I want to talk a little bit about AppleFest broadly.
Right.
So we see the growth in Apple-related products. We see the growth in sort of knowledge about farms and agriculture locally and in the region. What does something like AppleFest mean to you and your family?
A lot of work. Yeah. There's no doubt. Jay was involved in the first AppleFest, and as I mentioned to someone earlier, is that we weren't even married at that point. It was in November. It's down where Rod's business is now, but it was Jack Kay's there. There was like 3 vendors out there. It was freezing. It was a snowstorm. And it's a lot of work. We're a family-based business, so a lot of family do it. Our extended family are involved. Close friends are involved here to get us through the apple season. Generally, we're too busy. We're 2 months of a zoo, which is what it is. And AppleFest, you have to get extra people, get organized, get down there. And it's a good public relations for us. It does advertise our farm. You see people you haven't seen. In the beginning, I used to get to go to AppleFest. I'd enjoy meeting and greeting people. Now the younger generation goes, and they get their friends and get their cousins, and they have a lovely time down there, and I'm at the farm. And Jay's at market. But it's interesting. It promotes it well. I think it's a good community event. We're trying to get more and more of the community involved. And because we're the apple farmers, both the Pates and the Howells are also involved in the AppleFest committee, and we take major roles. Don Pate and I are chairs of the vendor committee, and then sometimes we go, we've got to get down to AppleFest. She's busy at her farm, I'm busy at mine. We need to get down there and see it. So we've made a point of it. The transition of AppleFest has changed over the years. Last year we added a farmer's market. And that was a nice idea because, yes, it's not just apples. We're trying to do community, get other people to bring their products, right? And we're always looking for more vendors for that, and I think we've made connections and added some. We want local. We want to support local. And if there's two people selling the same product, one is local and one's not, we will welcome the local one more. We're trying to support. The vendors downtown, our store owners sometimes wonder what they get out of it, but some of them it's a lot of public relations. People will come look and they'll come back another time.
The last thing I want to ask you is about that supporting local piece. Now, you talked about the committee. I've been on lots of committees. I know our mayor used to be on the AppleFest committee as well. We support AppleFest as a county council. We love it. But you were saying you want some more volunteers, some more folks on that level. If somebody wanted to be on the AppleFest organizing committee, what would that entail, and how might they reach out?
We just did a new constitution and new bylaws, but anyone is welcome to come to our meetings. They're always open. There's a general public meeting which happens in February. There'll be supposed to be another public meeting which will happen, we think we decided in November, to make people aware of what happens after the AppleFest as well as the planning of the AppleFest. We have people who are not on our committee who volunteer. We run on a lot of volunteers. We're welcome to anyone. All they have to do is contact the office or contact anyone who's involved. Either the Howells or the Pates are on the committees too. Anyone you see today is. Sometimes it's just that weekend we need a lot of work. Some committees can not do as much work. We're on the vendor committee, so we have to make contact in the beginning. We're always looking for new vendors. We're always looking for people to participate, and it's a hands-on type thing. My committee has 5 people on it. In fact, Councillor John McAlpine's on my committee, and he works hard too. We've got him on text and back and forth. And you need committees that work well together, that are productive together. And the way it works is that each committee will report at monthly to see if there's any changes and things we have to do. And we take in everyone's consideration and ideas on what to do. We made the decision to add the farmer's market because it can then add, alcohol can be now sold at AppleFest because we have the license to sell at the farmer's market. And that's not, and it's good. And there's now a lot of food. We comply to all the health units. We have to keep a lot of liaison people just to compete with all the committees to see, okay, what do we have to do? What are the rules this year? And really the cancellation this year was due to, it would be hard to comply to all the restrictions. And we can't limit to 100 people because we can't guarantee 100 people will show up, or less than 100 people would show up, right?
Well, we're going to have definitely more than 100 watching right now all over the province. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to end this segment this way. I want you to pick your favorite. I'm going to pick mine, and we'll have a little cheers to those folks who are organizing, who sit on these committees and subcommittees. A little cheers to you and folks like you who do all this volunteering. I think I'm going to go with the raspberry lemonade. So a virtual toast. Cheers. Yeah, that's right. A toast to everybody who volunteers on behalf of the County Brant Council, on behalf of folks who organize, on behalf of everybody who attends. Thank you so much for all these years of work and to many more ahead. To AppleFest.
Cheers.
Since 1947, Brantview has been subscribed to an integrated pest management system. Orchard manager Jay Howell says this consists of a count of every insect and pest that might cause harm to the production of the apples in the orchards every week.
So every year we work with the Norfolk Fruit Growers and also Joe Uinaka's Apple Study Group, and we hire a college student to come into the orchard once a week throughout the growing season. He or she will set traps for various pests that affect apples. And we work on what's called a population threshold. Each pest has its own population threshold or tolerance level. If the pest surpasses that level, then we will control it. But that doesn't necessarily mean we spray. We do a lot of work with mating disruption, these little twist ties. They have a female pheromone of an oriental fruit moth or a calling moth in the twist ties. Males fly into the orchard, and all it is a twist tie. They get disoriented, they die. You get the overwintering generation of that pest, but you don't get the second, third, and fourth generation that actually does damage to the apple. The technology has been around since the 80s. It is very successful in some regards. Some bugs, the pheromones are stronger than others. For example, oriental fruit moth is very strong. Calling moth isn't, but if you put enough of them out there, it'll do the job for you. We also have 37 bluebird boxes in our orchard. Eastern bluebirds and tree swallows are natural predators for apple pests. Since 1987, we've been working with the Canadian Wildlife Federation to see whether bluebirds or tree swallows can actually cohabitate in a commercial apple orchard. This year, I think we had 7 or 8 pairs of bluebirds, which is really good for us, and a bunch of swallows, so a bunch of swallow pairings. Our apples are pesticide residue tested by the Ontario Minister of Agriculture and Food every fall. We're always in the bottom 5% of the province for pesticide residue, and that includes organic apples. This is a Crimson Crisp, and as you can see with our mating disruption and our integrated pest management program, it's a pretty clean apple. There's not any funguses on it, no scab, no bug damage. It's a pretty great program, actually. My grandfather was one of the first in the province to start it back in the 40s, and it wasn't because he was environmentally friendly. He was just upset at the price of spray material was so expensive. So when we bought the property from him in 1987, we did hook up with the Norfolk fruit growers, and every year we've had really good success with it. We have a college student into the orchard once a week. We get an emailed report every Friday, and we use that as a basis for how we attack pests that may be in our orchard. As I say, we also work with Joe Uenaka's study group. We meet every couple of weeks and go over what's flying at that particular time and what funguses are in the orchard. And with those two outfits, we seem to do a fairly decent job. So our apples are, as you can see, they're pretty clean. You don't see too much wrong with them.
We are so lucky to be able to have some great entertainment here today at the 2020 St. George AppleFest. And the next performer is a wonderful, wonderful entertainer, wonderful guy. Brandon Dean, he's got a folky bluegrass set ready for you, tinted with a little bit of the blues. I don't know about the blues and the reds for apples, but we'll call it the blues today. Brandon Dean's going to take a set here, and let's just sit back and enjoy.
Slept in 7 days, I hadn't ate in 3. Methamphetamine has got a damn good hold of me. My tweaker friends have gotten me to the point of no return. I just took my lighter to the bulb and watch it burn. Life's a sin, it's got me in. It's got me back in prison once again. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust in a baggie. Well, if I would've listened to what Mom and Papa said, wouldn't be locked up in prison, trouble in my head. I took that little pop and suck until my mind was spun. I got 20 years to sit and think of what I've done. Life's a sin, it's got me in. It's got me back in prison once again. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust and a baggie. Well, sometimes I sit and wonder where my little life went wrong. These old jailhouse blues have got me singing this old song. My life is a disaster and I feel so ashamed. In here where they call me by a number, not a name. Life's a sin, it's got me in. It's got me back in prison once again. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust and a baggie. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust and a baggie. work anymore. He said one of these days you'll get out of these hills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. See, the ways of this world will just bring you to tears. Keep the Lord in your heart, you'll have nothing to fear. Live the best that you can, and don't lie and don't steal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Well, Daddy, I've been trying, I just can't catch a break. There's too much in this world I can't seem to shake. I remember your words, Lord, they bring me to chills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Keep in mind that a man's just as good as his word. It takes twice as long to build the bridges you burned, and there's hurt you can cause time alone cannot heal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Well, Daddy, I've been trying, I just can't catch a break. There's too much in this world I can't seem to shake. Oh, I remember your words, Lord, they bring me to chills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Keep your nose on the grindstone.
I'm here with Mayor David Bailey of the County of Brant, and we are here to celebrate AppleFest. It's a very different AppleFest this year, but Mayor Bailey, before we get too into it, I want to ask your history with AppleFest as a St. George resident and a former committee member.
Well, I've been very involved with AppleFest over the years. I've chaired it, I think, 7 times. When I chaired the United Way campaign in 2005, the Legion was sort of taking care of AppleFest back then, and I woke up in the morning and I read an article in the paper and it said AppleFest is dead, and the Legion had dropped AppleFest, and I thought, well, that's not such a good idea. So through the United Way, I went to my next meeting and I said, you know, what about if we take on AppleFest, because it's a very important event and it brings like 20 to 30,000 people a day to the village of St. George. Everyone loves it. It's full of apples and bees and kids and good intentions. And actually I ran it through the United Way during my campaign in 2005, and then Paula Tysowski, who was involved with the United Way, ran it the next year, and she did it hand in hand with, I believe it was Shirley Steedman back then. But back then we had a full sort of slate of officers, and we had a big room full of volunteers, and it was a very different AppleFest than it is now. I think it's fallen on the backs now of the apple farmers, the Howells, and the Pates, and back in the day, the Brewbakers. So I think it's a different animal right now, but the interest is still there. The people still come. Pies are great, the bees are great, and everyone's happy in the village of St. George.
I'm wondering if you could share some of your maybe favorite memories being on that corner during AppleFest. Maybe explain a little bit about where you're situated every AppleFest.
I've been back in my house now, the big house on the corner, which they used the parking lot for the churches to set up for their pies and things like that. I've seen so many things change in AppleFest over the last 25 years. We used to have dunk tanks, and we used to have apples, bobbing for apples and things like that, which are absolutely forbidden now. To dunk the mayor now wouldn't be, well, it would be very popular, I'm sure. But back then, and you would just get on a dunking machine, or you would try to eat an apple on a string and go into barrel of very murky water. So all of those things that we used to do because they were fun are now sort of not so much fun according to the health unit. And so it's just changed. The petting zoo is always wonderful. The things that we do at AppleFest were very well done. And I think it was just sort of the end to summer, a wonderful beginning to fall. The CNE was on one hand and the AppleFest is on the other hand, and it's just sort of an introduction to things that are about to come. So St. George has always embraced AppleFest. The farmers have been wonderful. We obviously are surrounded by farmers and agriculture, so it's just something that's always worked. Very proud to be from St. George, very proud to have been a very big part of AppleFest, and I wish them another 100 years of success. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor Bailey. Now, Mayor Bailey was talking about a lot of wonderful times of AppleFest past, and we have a great video feature, a picture feature, where residents of St. George, people who've been involved in AppleFest, have helped put together this look back at AppleFests in the past.
Sits behind the door. My boots are scattered on the floor and I walk around in shoes. Maybe I can catch a train. Maybe she'll come back again. Maybe she'll change her mind. I guess I'm just a fool. Rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, and I want Oz Town. Rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, a rodeo boy, and I'm on Horse Town.
Give Apoon a great big round of applause. Take a bow, Apoon. That was very nice.
The St. George AppleFest is a wonderful festival that we look forward to every year. In fact, some people look at it as the right of moving on from summer to fall and enjoying the bounty of our county, and in particular, apples and everything apples. And so my family looks forward to going every year, buying a pie, bringing it home and enjoying what we produce in this county. So this year, as I talk to you from my office at this virtual event, because our lives have changed significantly, I want to thank the organizers and everything you've done in the past years, and particularly this year, to move this forward, to be sure that as we move out of the COVID times into new times, we'll look with a lot of thankfulness for all of the things that the volunteers put into making St. George AppleFest the wonderful festival it is year after year. Congratulations. It's virtual, but it's still AppleFest.
We are so lucky to be able to have one of the 100 best festivals in Ontario. I think one of the 100 best festivals in the world, the St. George AppleFest. And I am here right now with Kara Pate from Brantwood Farms. And we're going to talk a little bit about the impact on farms, the impact of farms on AppleFest, and the impact of farms in our community. Where would you like to start?
Oh boy. I just think AppleFest is a really great opportunity for us as a farm to get out into the community and kind of talk about what we do and answer people's questions about apples and cider and just how kind of the whole apple season works, and even other crops. We get questions about other things that grow, but not everybody always has the opportunity to visit a farm. So for us to be able to provide some information about the different varieties, what's good for baking, what's good for cooking, is just a really great opportunity to chat with some different folks and see what everybody's up to.
Well, that's great. Now, I'm going to try and get some brownie points at home, or maybe I'll get in trouble actually for saying this, but my wife's favorite thing to drink is cider. Right. Can you talk a little bit about the cider process, how it works, and how that's been? Because I've noticed a lot of ciders in the community and the surrounding community starting up. So talk a little bit about ciders, whet our appetite before we get into the food piece.
So there is sweet cider or soft cider, which is what we do. And so that is just essentially crushed, pressed apples, just fresh apples. It's not as filtered as you would find in apple juice. And then there's also the hard cider, which Brantview does, which I would definitely recommend checking out. But cider is going to come into season really, really soon. We usually try and have it ready for AppleFest weekend. And we love to have it all season. It is just a great way to get some of those apples that maybe aren't as pretty for fresh eating into a different kind of product. And they are, apple cider is our favorite. I think it should be everyone's favorite, really.
This region, when we're looking at apple production, right, and the growing of apples, what kind of apples grow well here, and why? Do you have any information about that? I'm just trying to get into some farm specifics here.
A lot of apples are fairly regionally specific. So the apples that we grow here in kind of our region of Ontario are a little bit different than the ones that they would grow further south. Some apples do like a little bit more cold, for example, or they need a longer growing season. So for example, the Macintosh, that's an Ontario discovered apple in 1812, I believe, and it just grows perfectly in kind of our climate. Some apples that people might be familiar with, such as Granny Smith, those don't really grow very well. We just don't have quite the right conditions, the right temperatures in our region. So as you travel around Canada and around the globe, each area is probably going to have different apples just based on the temperatures that we get and the length of the growing season. So that's a big thing. In the UK, they have a lot longer growing season, so they have apples that stay on the tree a lot longer and they have different flavors, whereas our growing season is quite a bit shorter. So that is a big impact on what varieties we can grow here.
Well, that's actually wonderful information. And I know folks, one of the reasons people do come to AppleFest is to get to know farmers, to get to know more about what we're able to do. It's very positive for our local farms, which are, by the way, farming in Canada, food production, food-related industry is still the number one industry in the country. And people forget that because we look at manufacturing and oil and things like that, but food production is still number one. Now, I've seen Brantwood Farms. You've done the online piece now as well. Can you talk a little bit about, in this time time some of the changes you've done to better serve customers and include maybe some information about some of the new products you have as well.
Sure. So this year, with everything that's going on, we've definitely moved to some online options for our visitors. So we have an online shop where people can kind of choose and pick, and then we have curbside carry out to their cars for those who wish that. We also have kind of limits on our stores. Like you'll find most places really limiting the number of people coming in. In our earlier seasons, we've had extended hours to kind of spread out those who are wishing to come to the store. So we've really tried to make our farm as accessible as we can, while still staying safe for all those who are coming to visit. So if you're coming to visit this season, you're probably going to find different signage and limits into the areas, just so that we can keep everybody spread, but still having a great time outdoors. But yeah, if you want to talk about some products, I'm happy to do that. So one of the things we have new this year is our Rhueberry Splash. So it's a sparkling strawberry rhubarb water, and there's a little bit of a apple in there as well, and that's really, really popular for us kind of all season. But then if we're talking strictly apples, we are all about apples. So we've got apple crisps. We're doing that every single weekend. Those are by far my favorite of the desserts that we do. Then if you're looking for something a little bit different, we have what we call our apple cider reduction vinaigrette. So it's a really, really tasty vinaigrette. I like to use it on either like a spinach or a kale-based salad, and it is just super delicious. And then our gold star item is our apple cider reduction. So we took about 80 liters of apple cider, boiled it down, added a few spices and a little bit of sugar, and got 10 liters of apple cider reduction. So it's hugely concentrated. It's kind of like an apple version of maple syrup. And if you're like Farmer Tom, you use it like maple syrup. It's going on your pancakes. He puts it in his coffee, and it is just like our star item. We use it on roasted veggies, on ice cream, just all over the place, and we love it. So those are some really fun products that we were playing around with this year. And then just anything and everything apples. So pies, dumplings, turnovers, and candy apples too.
Well, thanks so much. It's so great to hear about all the innovation that's happening. I know my family, we've been using the farm boxes that you've been, and come in the back and bringing the kids, and they're so excited. The service is wonderful. The products are great. Thanks so much for everything you and all the farming communities, farmers in our community, I should say, do to help our economy and help our food access. It's so appreciated, and we hope to see you next year and every year at the St. George AppleFest.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Apple varieties ripen at different stages throughout this season. So right now we're still in early September, so we have some of those early varieties that are ready. The Ginger Gold, the Sunrise, early Macs are coming along. And as we get later into the season, we'll have more varieties ripen. Some of them like to get a little bit of cold weather before they're ready to pick, and that just sort of gives them that final burst of flavor. If I pick an apple, for example, Honeycrisp, that everybody really likes, they know they're really sweet, they're really juicy, they have a really great flavor. They need just a little bit longer on a tree, and you can kind of tell that by the color of the apple and also how easy it is to pick off the tree. So each apple looks a little bit differently when it's ready to pick versus when it's not quite ripe. The more vibrant the color is one of the ways to tell that it is ready to pick and come off the tree. So if we're looking at a tree or a tree of apples, like, we don't want to have to tug or really pull to get the apple off. Really, if you're picking an apple, I've already picked this one, we have the eye at the bottom here. So you just kind of want to just turn it up, and it should just kind of pop off. We say just turn the eye to the sky, and the apple should just kind of pop off if it's ready to pick. If you have to tug it or really pull it, it's probably not ready yet. And then we also don't want to do that because it's going to damage the tree doing that. So we like to just very gently turn your apple off, and if it comes off easily, it's ready to go. All right, so if we take a look at this apple here, I'm just going to take what we call the eye, the bottom of the apple, up to the sky, and that guy just came right off for me. I didn't have to pull, I didn't have to tug, it just popped right off. So that's how you know that the apple is ripe, but then you're also picking it in a way that protects the tree from any damage and also the fruit from any damage. So when we're picking apples at every orchard, just remember, it's eye to the sky, you get your apple.
Our next musical act is a wonderful guy who goes so far above and beyond to help this virtual St. George AppleFest. His name is Barry Hussey. He's been here all day today. He's been helping with the organizing of the event and getting all the entertainers. He does great classical rock. If classical rock's your thing, you're going to hear it right now. Barry Hussey, thank you so much for everything you've done for AppleFest this year, and take it away.
I'm a one-way motorway, one that drives away, follows you back home. I'm a street light shining, I'm a bright light shining bright, burning off and on. It's times like these to learn to live again. It's times like these, give and give again. It's times like these, learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again. I'm a new day rising, I'm a brand new sky hangs upon the stars tonight. I'm a little divided, do I run and stay away or leave it all behind? It's times like these, learn to live again. It's times like these, give and give again. It's times like these, you learn love again. It's times like these, time and time again. It's times like these, learn to live again. It's times like these, give and give again. It's times like these, we'll learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again. It's times like these, you learn to live again. It's times like these, to give and give again. It's times like these, you learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again. It's times like these, learn to live again. It's times like these, give and give again. It's times like these, learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again. Very good friend of mine told me something the other day. I'd like to pass it on to you, 'cause I believe what's said to be true. Said we're here for a good time, not a long time. Have a good time, sun can't shine every day, and the sun is shining in this crazy city. And the sun is shining, whoa, isn't it a pity? And every year she has to shed tears, and here for a good time. Not a long time. Have a good time. Sun can't shine every day. And the sun is shining in this crazy city. And the sun is shining. Isn't it a pity? And every year she has to shed tears. And every now and then it's gonna rain. We're here for a good time. Not a long time. So have a good time. Sun can't shine every day. Said we're here for a good time. Long time. Have a good time. Sun can't shine every day.
Well, I just want to say something. We're closing up the day. It's been a wonderful 2020 AppleFest. We're continuing to keep this festival. That's an incredible opportunity for our community to come together. We're continuing to keep it going. I want to thank everybody who was a part of today. The folks at Brant.1, Mayor David Bailey, the farmers, the feature editors, the musicians, the entertainment. We've had a wonderful time. I also want to thank all of you watching at home. AppleFest is something that we love here in the County of Brant, and I know the whole region and everybody in Ontario loves the St. George AppleFest. So, to the future, we look ahead, and to the past we celebrate, and to the present we stay together, we help each other out, and we celebrate. So, celebrations all around. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Brant.1.